Welcome to the Artist Guitars Introduction to Drums video series. In these videos, we're going to show you how to properly build your artist drum kit straight out of the box, and we'll go through tuning, replacing drum heads, proper technique and some basic beats, all to get you and your kit from sounding like this to sounding something like this.
Hey guys, today I've got the Artist Guitars 5-piece ADR522 rock drum kit. As you can see, I've just laid everything out straight out of the box. I'll go ahead and get the plastic wrapping off and we'll go through each individual bit one by one. First off, you've got the 22-inch bass drum. It comes with just the shell. We need to assemble it on its own. Then you've got the 16-inch floor tom, the 12 and the 13-inch toms, rack toms, which I've got set up here, and the 14-inch snare. So that's our shell pack. As you can see, they also come with the skins. You've got two sets for each size of drum that I just went through. That's because you've got the resonant head and the batter head, so we'll go through that when we're setting them up. Moving on to the hardware, we've got a snare stand, we've got a cymbal stand, we've got two tom mounts, we've got a hi-hat stand, and we've got tom legs, pedal, you've got your bass drum spokes, and you've got little bits and pieces which we'll need for the kit assembly. On the black portion of the hardware, the legs are all double braced, and this is important because a lot of beginner kits come with basic hardware that's single braced, and single braced hardware can be quite flimsy, especially if you're hitting the cymbals hard. They could fall over a lot of times. So the double brace is really what you're looking for in quality cymbal stands. So the pack also comes with two cymbals, a crash and a set of hi-hats. And it also comes with this seat that I'm sitting on currently that I just assembled off camera. And it also comes with a pair of drumsticks, which a lot of people forget about when they're assembling their kit. Kit's all ready to go, nothing to play with. So the first thing to do, if you're not setting the drum up on a carpeted surface, would be to lay a rug down on the area which you plan to set the drum set up on. I've got a tiled surface here, as you can see, so I've set a rug up which is roughly going to be the size of the drum set. So I've got my bass drum here, ready to set up. You'll see that there's been some tape taped onto the metal connection bits. You want to carefully peel that off. So we're going to go ahead and assemble the bass drum. I've got all the bits and pieces I need here. I've got the two hoops to hold the heads down. I've got my two bass drum legs. I've got these lugs which hold down the skin to the bass drum. And I've also got the tension rods. The black one is your resonant head and the white one is your batter head. What these two terms pretty much mean is the batter head is the one surface which gets beaten to produce the sound, and the resonant head sort of traps the sound in the drum to get some resonance out of it. We've got a little kick port over here on the bottom, and that hole is pretty much just used to control the escape of the air from the bass drum. It's also used as a miking port in live situations sometimes. We'll attach the legs in just so that you get an idea of where the resonant head goes. Simply slot the leg in the hole and tighten with the wing nut. The side we've got the legs on, closest to the edge, is the side which is going to have your resonant head. So we'll just go ahead and fit that in. Remove the hoop. Place your head on. The bass drum legs are going to be at the bottom of the drum, so ideally you want your artist reading upright, left to right. I'm a little bit OCD, so I'm just going to have it centered like such. This would position the kick port towards the bottom of the drum. Next you grab your hoop, pop it back on top. It should sit snug right on top of the bass drum head along the metal frame. The next thing we need to do is install the tension rods, which will secure the hoop to the bass drum, and in the process it will stretch the skin, giving it some tension across the head which would provide resonance every time you hit the bass drum. Grab one of these brackets, grab one of the tension rods, just the longest one in the set, and put this little plastic washer right on it. Next, we'll place the tension rod on the edge of the hoop, like so, and just slot that tension rod in. So you don't want to cross thread it. I recommend anti-clockwise so you feel the click, and then just going in clockwise. Just do these up finger tight, so don't get them in too tight. That's one done. So the way you want to put the rest of these on is similar to the fashion of putting a car tyre on. You want to go opposite to the tension rod you just screwed on, and then move on to the next one, followed by the opposite. So now that we've got them in and they're just screwed in finger tight, so just a touch, we can go ahead and tighten them to get the skin stretched to provide that tension for the resonance. So to do this, we can use a drum key. Basically, you want to tighten it up till you see these warps around the side disappearing. That would be a good start. So as you can see, I've got the skin on quite tight compared to how we started. All the creases that we had along the bottom are sort of ironed out, and there's quite a bit of tension along the bass drum, as you can see. One step further from this would be to gently tap along the skin near each lug and check that they sound the same. So we'll talk about tuning more once we get the kit set up, but for now, this should be good enough. So now we'll move on to our batter head. Just flip the drum over. Got my hoop over here. Just be careful with that. As you can see, very similar setup to the resonant head. All you've got to do now is put on the head, place the hoop on, secure the tension rods to the hoop, and tighten them up in the exact same manner. Now would be a good time to also place a pillow in the bass drum just to dampen it a little bit and control the sound. We will be putting a pillow in later on just to show you the difference between having a pillow in there and having a bass drum without one. Check out our later videos for that. So we've got our heads on, and now we're just going to sit it upright. As you can see, before when we put the legs in, we've just sort of put them in arbitrarily. The bass drum's sitting quite high off the floor. Now we'll go ahead and adjust the height of our bass drum. We want it to be sitting almost flush with the floor. However, we don't want it touching the floor. So just put it a bit. The bass drum's sitting just above the floor, it's not really touching. Especially once you mount the toms and everything else onto the bass drum, there's going to be quite a bit of weight sitting on it. And if you have all that weight just going through the bottom of the bass drum and the circumference of the hoops, that could lead to the actual drum warping under all that weight. You're also allowing the drum to resonate freely and not transfer that vibration into the floor. So I've got the bass drum pedal with me here, and we're just going to go ahead and look at how we set that up. So straight out of the box, it comes, as you can see, kind of semi-assembled. All we have to do is squeeze these two bass rods to fit into the holes on the base of the pedal. There you go, clicks in nicely, and that's pretty much the pedal ready to go. We've got some attachments on the side. This here is what controls the responsiveness of the bass drum. So we can control how much spring we want, how much rebound we want from the pedal by tightening or loosening the tension in this spring. We do this by loosening the nut, pushing it towards the bottom, and then tightening the knob at the end of the screw thread. This gives us more tension in the spring and thus more responsiveness from the bass drum pedal. There's also a screw which allows you to adjust the height of the beater, as you can see. And these beaters are also interchangeable if you find one which which suits you better, feel free to remove it and play around with it. So every drummer out there has a different specification that they've got, different sort of style that they've got, and that leads to a different configuration of bass drum pedals. I'd recommend playing with the pedal as per how it arrived, and you can take it from there. So as you can see, the base of the pedal has a clamp which has 3 supports, these 2 on the same level and this one higher up. Ideally we want to sit our bass drum hoop right in the middle so that it clamps evenly. So the next step in our drum set setup is to set up the snare drum. As you can see, I've got the 14-inch snare right here. We've got the batter head with the artist logo up top. And this is the resonant head with the snare. Essentially, without these snare wires, this is just a shallow tom. So to activate the snare, we've got a little throw-off switch on the side here. Turning the snare wires on increases the tension along the bottom resonant head, which then gives you more crackle and more snap and more definition. All you need to do is flip it back on, and that activates the snare. That gives the springs some tension, as you can see. So once the strings are tensioned, they touch the bottom resonant head of the snare, which gives it the snare sound. So over here, we've got an adjustment knob, and we've got the throw-off switch. The adjustment knob controls the distance of the throw-off switch to the top of the snare. The shorter the distance between the throw-off switch and the top of the snare, the more tension we have running through the wires, the tighter the sound we get. So by loosening the adjustment knob, I'm reducing the tension in the snare wires and thus giving it a fatter sound. Different genres require different snare sounds. The looser you have it, the more sustain you'll have on your snare. Ideal for slower paced music, ballads. If you're playing fast-paced rock, heavy stuff, you want the snare to have some body, so probably a middle tension. And if you're playing funk and something very tight, you want to really crank those springs up just to give you more attack and more definition. So here we've got the snare stand. So to set this up, simply loosen the wing nut here, spread open the legs. Round them, tighten the wing nut. For the top half of the snare stand, loosen this wing nut over here. As you progress in your technique and your style, you may want to alter the tilt of your snare, but it's a good idea to have it starting off flush. So with the snare arms, we spread them completely out, and the one in the middle over here is adjustable, as you can see. We can use that to secure the snare in once it's in position. So grab your snare, sit it on the back tube, go ahead and slide this one in till it fits nice and snug. There you go. Go ahead and place your snare in position. Make sure it's not touching the bass drum and sitting right next to your pedal. There you go. So next up, I'm going to put the skins on the toms. Each tom comes with 2 rims. One goes on top and one goes on bottom. These hoops work in similar fashion to the ones we have on the bass drum. You need to secure the head under the hoop and then tighten the tension rods on the hoop to stretch the tom across the shell. Each tom size comes with 2 heads. As you can see from the snare, the artist logo is the batter head and the plain head is the resonant head. So I'm going to go ahead and put all these skins on the toms. So now that I've got skins on all the toms, we'll go ahead and add them to our setup. Part of the package would have included these tom mounts. We'll be using these to mount the rack toms onto the bass drum. So simply loosen the memory locks so that they can slide around. They don't prevent you from attaining your ideal setup of the tom position. We want to pick the arm which has the wing nut facing the player and also has the tom arm protruding out to the left. Now we're going to take this and slot the bar into the hole. That's about right from now. Okay. Now we'll start with our 12-inch tom. When I put the head on, I place the artist logo in line with where the artist logo is on the tom. This way you sort of get it looking flush and it's facing the player, it's nice and it fits in with my OCD. So simply unscrew the wing nut, insert it into the mount, as such, and then tighten the wing nut. Now we've got our toms mounted on, we'll go ahead and position them. So I'm just going to take the snare out of the way for this one. So now I've mounted my toms and I've set up the floor tom. I've got a bit of a tilt on the toms facing me, and I've got the snare and the floor tom sitting at around the same height. This is ideal for when you do your rolls, snare drums and toms, or your snare drum all around the kit. So next up we're going to go ahead and set up our cymbals. This includes our hi-hat and our crash. So I've got the hi-hat stand here with me. It comes with some assembly required. First thing to do is loosen the wing nut over here. Spread that out. Next step, similar to the bass drum pedal, would be to squeeze these rods to fit in between the channel. Now place it on the ground and even out the bass. Now simply tighten the wing nut. Next we've got the top half. Loosen the clutch. Remove the spoke. And screw the spoke in to the base of the hi-hat. Next, place the top half of the hi-hat stand on the base, running the spoke through the central hole. Once that's locked in, tighten the wing nut at the base. Grab your hi-hats, place one on the hi-hat stand, unscrew the bottom half of the clutch, remove the washer and one of the sponges, grab the other hi-hat, put the sponge back on, put the washer back on, tighten the nut, and place it on top of the other cymbal. And there you have your hi-hat set up. So to set the gap up between the hi-hats, all you have to do is press down on the pedal gently and tighten the wing nut. So there you have it. This is what the full kit looks like once it's been set up. In the following videos we will go through how to tune each tom and each drum, and we'll also look at options to control your sound via dampening and sound control.